Hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming a Jolly Soul podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm producer Stu.
And today we are back on Instagram and we're looking at the quote, "Live in the present moment as deeply as you can. It holds great power." So if you're not following us on Instagram, please check it out. And sorry about that. So this moment is all we have. That's basically what I was trying to get to, is that if you're thinking in any way, because this is like another level sometimes of thinking, in the way that you can be in the present moment. Like I heard something the other day and it was like, when you can let go of trying to think about being in the present moment, then you become the present moment, then you are in the moment. And I was like, what? Because sometimes, like, even no matter what level you're at, you've got to kind of get it on a like soul level, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think like with being in the present, if you're aware too much of being in the present, you're not genuinely in the present. That's basically what that meant.
Yeah.
But sometimes people write things or say things in different ways, and you've sometimes just got to get to that moment, haven't you, where you can understand it. But what I was trying to help people understand, and what I've kind of come to the understanding of, is that, you know, people have a tendency to live in the past. And when you live in the past, you're kind of carrying through with you things that might not necessarily serve you in that moment, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And also, like, for myself, like, what I've tried to do is I've tried to make peace with the past and things that have happened in the past. Because I think if you're constantly in the past and you're looking at things that you may have done or that you regret yourself, then...
Sorry, the trees, if you see the trees wobbling in the background, it's our doggy down there.
Yeah, so if you're watching us on YouTube, which you can do, there's a tree behind me. It's just shaking because our doggy Mia loves to sit and listen to the podcast, and she's currently dreaming.
Sorry.
So her head's going. No, it's fine. Dogs are great, aren't they? A great example of living in the present. They really do, and they get like the energy of people. I always think it's really interesting how they, you know, then react in the moment and are in the, you know, like they're just genuinely present, like observing you. You know, like if somebody walks in, it's got a certain energy, you can see a dog react in a certain way with them because they're fully like right there, as most animals are.
There's not a time where they're not, are there?
No, not really. But yeah, I mean, basically what I was trying to say was that, you know, often we live she's snoring now. We live in our past, and it's really important to recognize where you're living. Where are you thinking? Where's your thinking coming from? Is it coming from sort of past and experiences? And also, have we put like to rest parts of our past, if you see what I mean? So I think a lot of people I know that I have in the past, I've fixated on things that maybe actions and things I've said and things I've done. And it's like one thing that you can't change is the past. You have to become fully present in this moment. And also how that is so true as well of the future. Like you can't be in the future. I know that there's things like the universe and the law of attraction and the secret and all them things. There is all of that. I get that. But what I mean by it is like when people are using it to project things that aren't even a situation. Like I know like you were doing that yesterday. Like you had this situation in your mind and it was all these what ifs about the future. And it's like, it's so difficult when you're living in that place to like feel good in the moment, because you can project anything. Like our imagination, if you think about like horror films, often you don't always get to see like the situation in a horror film. They leave you in suspense and allow your own brain to make up the story of the worst, because they know that most of the time they can't film something that makes it's never going to be as good or as bad as like what your brain can create. So if you think in that sense, you know, how we can create the future of a situation, that can also be quite detrimental to how you live and how it can damage the, you know, your right now. And often, think about it for yourself, because often people are either living in the past or they're living in the future, and they're not really that present in the now. I don't know if you've recognized that yourself, but that's definitely something that, I've tried to kind of take hold of as much as I can. And I think when I'm in the present moment, I'm definitely in a happier place. I'm definitely in a good place when I'm in the present moment, because the past, you can look at good things of the past, but often we don't. We're often, looking at negatives in the past. Not always, but we do have a tendency to do that. Like I might, for example, think about the passing of my dad, and I'm like, well, I can't change it.
No.
It's the hardest thing ever to deal with and come to terms with, his death, but I cannot change it. And I can't change any interaction that I've ever had with my dad. I just can't do it.
No.
So I've got to kind of come to terms with that. And that's the things that I'm talking about when you work these things through. It's like, right, okay, well, what was that thing that was disturbing me or upsetting me in this moment from the past? Right, well, can I resolve it in some way? Can I come to an understanding? And of the future, if you've got a situation that might be looming over you in some way, what can you do about that situation? Are you prepared to do anything about it? Or do you want to live in worry, in angst, in panic attacks that people sometimes have over situations,
Yeah, it's maybe, learning from the past what, you felt like maybe you could have done.
Yeah.
So obviously you can't change, but you can change in the present and to the future, what you would like to do in the future, if you like.
Yeah.
It's things like that you can work on. Sorry, my throat's there. But yeah, I just think a lot of people do get stuck in the past, and then they take that burden of what they didn't do, or what they've said, or the things, the actions that they've done to somebody else, or even to themselves, and they live with that, and they don't make peace with it.
And also, when you are present and you're fully present, you are able to really think things through more clearly, and actually your actions become more sincere and more a part of where you want to be and what you want to bring to life. When you're lost in your mind, either the past or the future, when you're not present, you're not able to deal with it in a more in clarity, if you see what I mean. And that's where you might make the wrong decision that, again, then your future self starts to regret. So yeah, I think, it's really important as much as possible to kind of, it's like auditing yourself, a lot of the things that we talk about, isn't it? It's
I thought about that the other day, about life audits.
Yeah.
It's important to do that.
Yeah, it's like, if you can take 5 minutes out and just kind of think about things like, how do you live your life? Where do you live your life? Are you focused on things that have happened in the past? Are you looking at the future? I think often people ruminate about things, about situations, and you'll only know for yourself if it's the past or the future. And if you're in your brain, if you're in that kind of monkey mind, as they call it, the Buddhists, all the time, then you're not getting to like see the world. Do you know what I mean?
You don't see. Yeah, I've noticed when I've not. You don't see clearly. You're not seeing anything. You're just seeing what your mind or your thoughts want you to see, and they put you on a focus on the things you don't want, or the things that you've experienced that you didn't really agree with, and it's getting away from that. And you can see yourself. I had a really bizarre experience where I could see myself in moments, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to, I want to change. I was like, I want to be in that present. And I was a step behind myself, which was really, out there a little bit. But it brought me to be more present, and meditations helped certain points in my life to try and get me to a present moment in my life. Morning as well as nighttime, if you can do it. It's not easy for everybody, but definitely if you can do it the first thing in the morning, it helps you become more present of your day.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
It's like you don't want to miss a thing. you know?
No.
And I know that, like, I know for myself, like, when I had like a really difficult time in my life, it was like I have said this many times, but I'd not seen the sky. I'd not seen like the flowers or the grass or the trees, you know, like the love in my children's eyes. You know what I mean? Like, I had not witnessed things properly because I was so deep in thought. And I just hope that, like, you know, talking about it brings other people to like an awake state, like awakened, if you see what I mean. Because
it's like driving the same route or transport, wherever you take to work or wherever you're going every day.
Oh yeah, we changed that, didn't we?
We changed our route to where we go to the studio, and it's like now if I'm on my same route, I'm aware of trying to look for things I've not seen because we don't see them. We've got blinkers on, or we look tunnel vision forward because the route's so familiar. You're stuck in your thoughts, or you're on your phone, or you're just gazing out of the window on a train or wherever, and it's just flashing past you, and it's like, but if you actually open your mind and open your eyes and be present, you see things you wonder, you think, oh, well, I've been there.
Okay, so we hope that this has helped you wake up a little bit today and see the day for what it is. Be present, be fully present as much as you can, and find ways to do that. Okay, so join us again on another episode.